Well, good morning and welcome to Coach's Corner on this second Saturday of May. And of course, that means fishing opener. Obviously, many of you either heading out or already out on the water if you're listening, or thinking about heading out on this, it's not cold, but a cool Saturday morning, kind of a typical, I guess, opening a fishing season morning for walleyes and everything. So if you're heading out, good luck, be safe. Obviously, that's the biggest thing. Make sure everything's working right. And I guess, a lot of guys may be getting their boats out for the first time. You might want to make sure somebody's got some help. You got your rope with you and everything else. It always seems like something like that happens along the way. Also, of course, Mother's Day weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And make sure that if you're not a mother, that you're taking care of someone who is your mother or is a mother of your children. Make sure you get out there and take care of them this weekend as well. I got to make sure I take my own advice as well. Let's head back to last night, a game heard on K104 and KSDMradio.com. The International Falls Bronco baseball team headed down the road as they took on the Little Fork Big Falls Vikings. The Falls opened the game with a pair of runs in the top of the first. Little Fork answered right back with one of their own in the bottom. The Broncos would extend that lead to 5-1. By the end of the fourth inning, and then things got wild, crazy. I don't even know how to explain it to you folks, so I'll just read what I wrote this morning. The Falls brought up 15 batters in the top of the fifth inning. They scored 9 times. They built a 14-1 lead. It looks like the 10-run rule is going to go into effect. LBF comes up in the bottom of the fifth. They need 4 runs to make the game continue, and they did far more than that. They came up with 10 runs themselves. 15 batters brought to the plate, and after the fifth inning, 19 runs scored in the fifth inning alone. The Broncos lead 14-11 after 5 innings. LBF would outscore the Falls 3-2 in the sixth inning, and all of a sudden the game was 16-14. Oh, just a 2-point conversion ahead are the Broncos heading to the seventh inning. The Broncos would continue to score runs, so did Little Fork, but the Broncos got the better of it in the seventh inning. They win by a final score of 20-15 in high school baseball, folks. This wasn't a football score. I'm reading it right here. 20-15 in boys baseball. The Broncos were led by Garrett Koenig as he goes 5 for 6 with 6 RBIs. That is an incredible day. Simon Palm, 4 for 6 with 4 RBIs. For LBF, Brendan Williams, he had a huge day as well. 4 for 6 with 3 RBIs. Matt Kennedy was 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored. The Bronco baseball team's now 8-3 on the season, and the Vikings dropped to 2-8. Just about a week and a half left in the regular season. Things are coming up, the playoffs and everything are approaching very quickly. The Broncos softball team, they traveled to Hibbing yesterday for a 4-team tournament, and they faced Greenway for the second time this season in game 1. It was a low-scoring affair as the Broncos the Broncos trailed 1-0 after 3 innings. The Broncos would score 4 times in the fourth, and the game was tied at 5 as they were heading to the seventh inning. Greenway was held scoreless in the top of the seventh inning, and then the Broncos got a runner on second base. And when first base open, Casey Myers, one of the Broncos' best hitters, coming to the plate. They decide they're going to intentionally walk her. I think a very good idea. Unfortunately, it didn't work out real well. One of the pitches got a little bit too close on the intentional walk. Casey Myers laces it into the outfield, and the winning run comes across, and the Broncos win by a score of 6-5. Game 2 was against Wilmer, who had defeated Hibbing in Game 1 by a score of 16-9. The Falls built a 5-0 lead through 4 innings and went on to win the championship with an 8-1 win. The softball team is now 10-1 on the season. What a great start for the Broncos. And that win last night in the championship game was the 200th in team history in their 19th season. The LBF softball team went on the road to Culver to face Southridge, and despite hitting 3 home runs, they got beat by the Panthers by a score of 10-8. Danny Erickson hit a pair of those home runs as LBF is now 7-7 on the season. The Bronco boys golf team was down at the quarry, down at Giants Ridge on the range yesterday for day 1 of the 2-day tournament of the Northern Invitational. Broncos shot very, very well yesterday. They shoot a .331. That is 6th place out of 21 teams. St. Michael Albertville, I couldn't even believe. I'm going to, when we get Coach Seven Simon on here, they shot a .289 yesterday. .289 for their top four guys, a 69, a 72, and 270. That's absolutely incredible. They shot a 289. Second place after day one is 25 shots behind in Farmington at 314. As I mentioned, the Broncos shot a 331 and sit in sixth place out of 21 teams. Day two gets started right around 10:30 this morning. For the Broncos, Brady Wright shoots a great 74. Other scores, Ethan Alleman shoots an 82, Sammy Maxwell an 88, an 87 for Mitchell Nemec, 89 for Josh Can, as the Broncos again shoot 331. With Brady Wright 74, he is tied for fourth place individually heading into day two. In high school scores from yesterday, in baseball, Marshall beats Moose Lake Willow River, Duluth Marshall 3-2. Ely 13, Silver Bay 9. Esco edges Hermantown 2-1. Greenway 12-3 over Deer River, and a little bit more runs than I would expect in a game like that. Proctor 7-6 over Ashland, Wisconsin, and Two Harbors down Cook County 9-2. In softball, Duluth East sweeps a pair from Denfeld 7-4 and 10-4. Esco over Rush City 6-2. Maybe a little bit of an upset here. Nashua, Keewatin 2, Grand Rapids 1. Proctor 14-1 over Ashland. Two Harbors 12-3 over Cook County. And in a game that is very significant to me and anybody who's following Broncos softball, Virginia takes down Moose Lake Willow River 7-3. Moose Lake Willow River maybe has the best pitcher in Section 7 AA, and the Virginia Blue Devils got the better of her yesterday, and the Virginia is coming to town on Tuesday to take on the Broncos. It ought to be a dandy, and we'll have it for you on K104 and KSDMradio.com. The Twins last night, they got another dandy from Irvin Santana. He goes 7 innings, allows 2 hits. The bullpen did the rest, and the Twins win by a score of 1-0 as the only run was scored on a Miguel Sano first inning home run. With the win, the Twins are on top of the Central Division with an 18-14 record and a game ahead of the Cleveland Indians. The two teams are back at it again today. Pre-game at 2:40, opening pitch at 3:10 on K104. You're home for the Minnesota Twins all season long. The Twins will send Jose Barrios to the mound. They called him up from AAA, a much anticipated move by the Twins as he's been absolutely dominating at the AAA level for Rochester and Cleveland. They'll send Mike Clevenger to the mound for that game this afternoon, again starting at 3:10. Last night in the NHL, the Western Conference Finals got started. Nashville on the road at Anaheim, and James Neal scores at 9:24 of the overtime period as Nashville takes Game 1 by a final score of 3-2. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals gets started today at 6 o'clock on NBC. Ottawa is at Pittsburgh. In the NBA last night, just one game. As the Washington Wizards star John Wall, he had a decision to make in the closing moments of that game. Do I take a 2 and tie the game and force overtime, or do I make a 3? Wall decided for the latter. He makes the 3, and the Wizards defeat the Boston Celtics 92-91. That forces a Game 7 back in Boston on Monday night for the right to face the Cleveland Cavaliers. No easy task either way that you go on that. No games in the NBA today, but there will be a game tomorrow there between who is it? Oh, the poor San Antonio Spurs having to take on the red-hot Golden State Warriors. I know no easy task there, but if anybody can do it, it would be the San Antonio Spurs. The Big Ten regular season champion Minnesota Golden Gopher softball team got their Big Ten tournament started yesterday with a 5-1 win over Northwestern. Saren Groenewegen, the star pitcher for the Gophers, she throws a no-hitter. Did give up the run, but throws the no-hitter. The Gophers face Illinois in the semifinals today at noon, and you can watch that game on BTN. Gopher baseball team lost at Squeakard 3-2 to number 10 ranked Long Beach State last night at Siebert Field. The two teams again play at 2 o'clock this afternoon. As I already mentioned, the Bronco boys golf team is back at the quarry today for a 10:30 day 2 meet there. The Rainy River baseball team, they're going to get their Northern Division playoffs started with a doubleheader against Vermilion at 1 o'clock. Coach Josh Koenig will join me right around 9:30 as we'll talk a little bit about that series and the playoffs upcoming. The Minnesota United Loons are at Toronto today for a 2 o'clock match. If you're following along in the soccer ranks, tomorrow, if Rainy River Baseball can't clinch it, the best 2 out of 3 series today, they'll play again tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. And of course, our Broncos in the college series that I've been kind of started this spring. Yesterday afternoon, Savannah Olson for the Bemidji State track team. She takes 10th place in the shot put with a throw of 41 feet, 10 3/4 inches at the NSIC conference meet. So congratulations to her. Brianna Schaffner took 14th in the 100 meters yesterday in a meet for St. Scholastica. St. John's baseball team, they had their season come to an end in the MIAC tournament. They dropped both games, very tight ball games, 1-0 and 2-1, if I remember the final from yesterday. And Wyatt Ulrich, what a season he had, going to bat over 500 for the season. If I got the numbers right in my head, it's just an absolute outstanding season for the freshman Wyatt Ulrich. Cassie Tomzak, she had her season come to a tough end on Thursday with the Rainy River softball team. They lose 2 extra inning games on Thursday, and we'll have more about those 2 games in our final segment today when we recap the week. And of course, Ben Humbert and the Gophers taking on Long Beach State. We'll take a break, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk girls golf. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardy's on K104 and online at KSDMradio.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner, and we're going to talk Bronco girls golf, joined by head coach Seven Simon, also by Kenzie Wenberg and Olivia Besch. And Coach, I saw you put out a tweet, a Facebook post, a text. I don't remember what it was. 7 out of 9 days golfing with the girls. Was that right?
Yeah, it's been a pretty hectic stretch the last 2 weeks here. We played Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday last week, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week.
Is that not the ideal situation, correct?
No, it's really not. It's our practice schedule has been lacking, and thankfully we've played okay throughout it, but we definitely like to get out on the course and onto the range a little more.
Olivia, you were shaking your head as I was saying that. You agree? You like golfing, but you don't like golfing on the road that much?
Well, it's hard because especially if you have like a bad round and then you want to go practice, but you can't because you have a meet the next day. So then it kind of gets stressful. We
talked about this with the boys last weekend a little bit about they're in the same situation, and where do you find practice time? How, you're practicing while you're playing. That definitely is not the ideal situation, is it?
It's really not, but we get some range sessions in before the meet, and so we work on things for a couple minutes, and we just try and get through the day with whatever swing we've got going on that day.
How do I put this? When you guys are playing like that, Kenzie, I'll let you take the first shot at this. When you're playing like that, when you're not getting a chance to practice on it, do you kind of go up and maybe your tee shots aren't working or maybe your irons aren't working? Are you talking with yourself? Are you coaching yourself before each shot saying, I really need to think about doing this on this shot? I'm maybe not so worried about where the shot goes. I want it to go someplace positive, but I'm more worried about making sure I've got this part in my swing because I need to work on this.
Yeah, it's hard. Every day something different goes wrong for me. So I don't know how to fix it.
Isn't that golf though?
Very much so.
I mean, isn't you fix one thing and then something you're thinking about that and something else goes away?
Yeah.
So from just that little statement, it sounds to me like maybe you're a little frustrated right now.
I am, because we haven't had much practice time.
Okay, so now you were saying you got 3 meets this week?
Yeah, we're coming up Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. So Tuesday and Thursday we'll hopefully get out to the range. We get some nice weather and can work on a couple things. That would be good.
You guys could go out right before your tee time coming up here, Coach. You could take her out and we could get the swing out. Maybe you work out something. Anyway, I'm just giving you grief. What has been going well? I hear you're frustrated, but what has been going well? Maybe are you putting well? Are you teeing off well? What have you been doing well, Kenzie?
My irons.
Irons. Always very important, that second shot into the tee. Is there one that's better? Is it the short irons? Is it the long irons? Which one are you playing better with?
Short irons.
Short irons. That's a good confidence when you're inside of 100 yards or so and you're hitting it in. How about for you, Olivia? What's been going well?
Nothing. No, just kidding. Probably my short irons too. Those, I can control those, but the long ones, I don't know where it's going.
That is probably the toughest shot, right? The long irons when you're trying to hit maybe a 3, 4, 5 iron. Those are the toughest ones, right, Coach?
Yeah, definitely. And, we focus a lot on the short game because that's where you score. So we don't get as much work on the long irons, and all the girls hit off the tee pretty well. We're pretty strong there, but we always have to fine tune that 7-iron and in, and so sometimes the 3 and 4s get forgotten a little bit.
Okay, I've been trying to find a way to formulate this question for probably a week, and I don't think I'm going to do a great job of it, so bear with me as I try to come up with this question. Evelyn Gilbert has gotten a lot closer to you guys than last year. Is it they're playing that much better, or are we playing a little worse than last season? Coach, I'll let you fire away at that one. And I don't, like I said, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to find a way to see where we're going.
I think it's a combination of both. Evelyn has a really young and very talented team, and it's showing they're getting better. And for us, the lack of practice time has hurt. Our scores are a little higher than what we've seen last year at this time. But now this last week, we've gotten into a little bit of a stretch and a groove. And I think we're playing a little bit more to our potential. We saw that on Thursday in Virginia. I mean, we played lights out, and I think it's just a combination of both things.
How about you guys? How do you feel about the competition with Evelyn? Is it a good thing, bad thing? What do you think, Olivia?
I think it's a good thing because we didn't see that last year. We kind of just went in and we just didn't have to worry about playing. But I think maybe it might be getting to Evelyn's head a little bit, so we might want to put them back where they should be.
I like that. And I agree with you 100% on it about having some competition to kind of drive you. You guys took 6th at the state last year. Am I getting that?
Yep.
Sixth place. And I think you need that. You need somebody to push you guys. It also makes it those pressure situations. Is it something that you guys are embracing? It's something that maybe early on when they maybe first were kind of nudging you a little bit and getting closer, but now that you guys are kind of saying, hey, Kenzie, this is something that we can handle and is going to make us better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys always get matched up. Do you guys always get to play with the same person from Evelyn? I mean, is it the same people every time, or do things get mixed up when you guys go out?
It's mostly the same people. Sometimes you get switched around a little bit.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Kenzie?
I like to play with the same people.
How come?
Because I feel comfortable then.
It's comfortable. You don't like somebody messing up the routine, right? Because that's really what golf is about, is finding that routine. Who else out there in the section? Is there anybody else out there in the section that's going to put pressure on the Broncos and the Golden Bears heading towards the section tournament?
We've seen Virginia play a little bit better this year. They had a good day Thursday too, and they weren't far off, but they're not quite there yet. We've seen Hermantown, but their numbers are kind of down this year, so they haven't really been close either. But I think it's pretty much Evelyn and us right now.
We talked last week on Coach's Corner with the boys team, and we talked about the section tournament, and we talked about playing. The boys have the day off. They play Tuesday, Thursday. You guys play Wednesday, Thursday. Do you guys prefer to play back-to-back, or would you prefer to have the day off in between?
Me?
Yeah, both of you. Yeah.
Personally, I like back-to-back just to get it over with, because then you have that one day to think instead about your score, and if you had a bad score, it can really get you in a groove, and then it's just all you're thinking about. But
Kenzie, how about you?
I agree with her.
Agree with you. See, I thought maybe the day off, if things didn't go well, a day off to go work on things. But all 4 golfers, the 2 boys and 2 girls, both went that way. Coach, you agree? You'd rather get out there and keep it going?
Well, like Olivia said, it doesn't give you time to sit and think about it. So if you do have a bad round, on the other hand, if you have a really good round, you stay in that groove and you just keep striking it well, and that can really be beneficial too.
Let's go back to the start of the season. You guys had a chance to go down to Jordan and take part in that tournament. Played at the Sands, at the place where the state tournament is at, correct?
Correct, yep.
Ladies, a good experience to go back down after playing there last summer in the state tournament. A good opportunity to go back down there this spring and get a chance to play it again.
It was nice to get to play it again, but it was a rough start to beginning of the season. Because?
How come it was rough? Just the scores weren't there? I mean, is that okay? Olivia?
Well, I got to experience playing from both sides of the course. Like the first day going out and shooting an 85, and then the next day going out and shooting a 113. Don't really know how that happened, but it's nice to experience playing from different places.
Well, and I think obviously the goal was to get back to the state tournament, and what an opportunity to get a chance to go down there and get that course back in your mind a little bit and get get those the holes kind of going back in your mind? Because, well, I'm speaking from my side. It had to be a heck of an experience for you guys to get a chance to go down there and play last year, and now say, hey, we want to continue to get back there again and get a chance to play. What makes the Sands? What makes that course as difficult as it is? Why is it a state tournament caliber course?
Honestly, I think the Quarry's harder. But
Okay.
I think it's just like a stigma around the course, like it's the state course. So I think that's what gets in your head.
Sure. Kenzie, anything to add to that?
I agree with her.
And you say that the Quarry's harder. I agree. Coach, do you think that a course doesn't necessarily have to be hard in order for it to be a good place to hold a state tournament? Would you agree with that?
I would agree, and I think actually the Quarry, it is beneficial that we play Quarry. The Quarry is our section tournament because actually they're very similar. They're very broken up. There's a lot of measured shots that you have to hit. You can't just go out there and gun it on everyone, and we see that at Jordan a little bit more. It's just on both sides of it, you got a lot of penalties if you get out of the fairway. So.
Absolutely. Who maybe has been a little bit of a surprise this year? Have you got somebody young coming up, Coach, that I haven't been watching, maybe with the junior high or something at the other levels, and somebody who's coming up that I haven't had my eyes on?
Well, I think our team is pretty strong all throughout. We've got a couple of 7th graders coming up, and they're just kind of cutting their teeth, so to speak, and we're just getting them out there and seeing how they shoot and figuring out the whole golf meet thing. Obviously, again, all the girls have played good. Morgan Rasmussen and Olivia Wright have thrown out their 2 best rounds ever. And they did that on Thursday, so that's really big too. So, but again, it's just a matter of which day, and the girls, it just all seems to switch. One day it's one girl, the next day it's somebody else.
Just the one senior, right? So
Yep.
not a lot of spots to fill. I'll finish it up with this. Olivia, does that put any more pressure on this season because it's your senior year, or is it something that it's an enjoyable thing and you just like going out there and golfing?
I've had a lot of success for like the 6 years I've played, so I think this is just good to close it and like finish well. I hope we can, and I don't really find much pressure. So.
I appreciate you guys coming on this morning. Have a good round this morning.
I will try.
Obviously, a lot of people going out trying their luck at fishing. You're going to go out and see if you can put that little white ball in the hole. Good luck with that. Get out there and get some practice in this week, ladies. Hopefully, we'll have a chance to talk to you guys back down at Jordan again in June. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having
you.
us.
Seven Simon, Kenzie Wensberg, and Olivia Best joining me here. We'll take a break, and we're going to come back, and we are going to talk baseball. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at KSDMradio.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner for our next segment. We're joined by head coach Josh Kading of the Rainy River baseball team. Coach, playoff time.
Playoffs are here.
Good thing. You guys get the number 2 overall seed. Obviously, a team always wants to get number 1, but satisfied with getting the number 2 seed overall?
Yeah, I mean, overall, very happy with where we're at, but not satisfied. I would clarify it that way because we played the number 1 seed in Itasca last weekend. We had an opportunity. It would have been tough. We would have had to win all 4 games. But as you saw, in the games that we lost, we basically shot ourselves in the foot, whether it was a base running error, a mistake, we let them hang around. We had.
But a team like Itasca does that kind of. I mean, they've won the division. 9 years in a row now. They're a team that they know. Even though you're running players through every 2 years, they understand. I think they know how to, like you said, hang around and stay in games and give themselves a chance, right?
Well, they do, and I warned our guys on that too. I said they're going to hang around no matter what kind of a lead you get. You have to keep playing baseball and finish the game. And, you saw in that first game, we had a 7-5 lead. We lose 8-7. We win game 2, 7-3. They realized it. We go into Sunday. We're down 3-1. We have an opportunity. We run ourselves out of a inning where we had the pitcher reeling a little bit. And then the bats went quiet. We lost a close ball game. Nothing to hang your head about. We get to the last game. We're up 8-4. Then it's 8-6. Then in the bottom of the 7th, they get a walk-off hit and beat us 9-8. So, I'm hoping that what happened last year when we played Itasca. It was a real motivator for our guys.
Sure.
And that they're going to remember that from last year and this year and propel themselves today going forward into the, and then getting into the region tournament, because that's ultimately, where we want to be, and that's our expectation every year.
Talk about Vermilion. You guys have played them a few times this year. Talk about the season series, how it's gone so far against the I'll say it the right way, the Ironmen. I like to call them the Tin Men, because I graduated from Mesabi, and Vermilion and Mesabi didn't get along a whole
correct
back in my days. But how did it go against the Ironmen?
Well, Coach Podominic will have his players ready to go. I'm sure they're geared up. We went 3-1 against them this year. Over at their place, we lost a close ball game 3-2, and ironically enough, we ran ourselves out of situations there that, and hopefully through this whole process, guys are learning that we've got to be a little smarter
sure.
on the base path. I'm a big Paul Molitor guy. We do run bases very aggressively. We're in the top 5 in the nation in stolen bases, and but it's knowing the key situation of when to do it. We played them second game, beat them in 10 innings, 8-7, and when they came here, they had a few injuries, but they had a majority of their starting players, and our bats were unbelievable. Our 2-out hitting was outstanding.
Remember those 2 games?
And we won 16-6 and 14-4 in 10 innings. In 5 innings, 10 innings of baseball.
Right.
And so really, at this point, you cross that white line, and it's time to compete. You throw all records out. It's playoffs. It's 0-0, just like any other sport. And whoever plays the best in the 2 out of 3 game series is going to go forward, and we're the last teams to play. Everybody else has punched their ticket.
Oh, I was not aware of that already, that everybody played yesterday and did won both games yesterday, obviously.
Yeah, we had graduation yesterday, so I wanted to allow my players that were graduating to walk for graduation, and so we moved the games to today. St. Cloud beat Central Lakes in 2 games. They're in the Central Division. Ridgewater beat Northland in 2 very close games, so those 2 teams are in. In the South, Minnesota West got an automatic bid because Rochester is still out from last year's
penalties.
So that put Riverland and Western Tech against each other, and Riverland won both of theirs.
Okay.
And Itasca beat Hibbing yesterday in 2 games also. And then you've got Century in as the independent. So the last 2 teams playing today are us and Vermilion.
How about the third place teams? What happened in St. Cloud?
Oh, thank you. Third place, Mesabi Range ended up beating Fergus Falls, Minnesota State Fergus Falls, right, in a very close ball game. And then they went on and beat Anoka Ramsey. So Mesabi Range is also in. So, we want to be there. We want to be that third team and have 3 teams out of the Northern Division representing ourselves at the tournament. And we as Northern Division coaches have said it all year. The Northern Division, in our estimation, from top to bottom, has been probably the most competitive that it has been in years, equally across the board, where anybody could come into a ball game and win.
Who's going to the hill today for the Voyagers?
Game 1, we're going to have Kevin Alicia, and he's going to pitch for us in Game 1, and Game 2 will be Jaime Garcia.
No surprises there. I think in my mind, having watched this team, those are your 2 best hurlers. But you've had other guys that have stepped up on the pitching mound and stepping through. With the 3-game series, do you take one of those starters that maybe would have started over a 4-game weekend, and now maybe he's your middle reliever, or he gets moved into that reliever situation?
Yeah, we've got some choices we're going to have to make depending on how games are going today. Jerry Hernandez did a really nice job against Itasca last weekend, and he pitched a complete game, 7 innings, and got the win. We've got Jonathan Castellanos that he's had some really good starts this year. Kenny Myrick, another one that's had some really good starts. So we've got some options within our pitching staff, and playing a series like this gives us the opportunity to use our pitching depth.
Region 13 tournament starts on Thursday in St. Cloud?
Thursday, yes.
Thursday, and of course that's a double elimination, 18 tournaments, so you get to play one on Thursday if you make it that far, and then do you get to play twice on Thursday?
Twice on Thursday.
They've got enough fields with Putz and Faber, and everybody gets with those fields back to back, everybody gets a chance to play there, so things take care of themselves. And obviously the 18 tournament, you guys had a lot of success there last year. Has that driven your team, or kind of maybe made the expectations a little high for this team? Is that something that this team has had to deal with, or in their minds, I guess?
Well, I think it's something that they've had to deal with, and it's one thing to talk and say, hey, we're going to the region tournament, and it's another thing to come out and play and do it. And I talked with our team yesterday, and I told the sophomores, I said, it's on your shoulders. You know what it's like to be at the region tournament. It's on your shoulders to get us there, because the freshmen deserve to have that same experience, so that they can pass that forward next year to the incoming class of freshmen. And like I said, this is, for us, the region tournament needs to be not a goal, but an expectation year in and year out.
Coach, I appreciate your time. We'll see you this afternoon. I'm looking forward to watching the games, and hopefully things work all right and you guys get a sweep today and don't have to play tomorrow.
I would love that. I go watch my daughter at her dance and have a Mother's Day dinner.
There you go. That would be the best for the home life.
Yes, it would.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Coach Josh Koenig joining me here. We'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll listen to an interview I taped with the Little Fork Big Falls Vikings baseball team last night after the game against the Broncos. You're listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at KSDMradio.com. Little Fork Big Falls Vikings baseball team, Tate Promisberger and head coach Dan Besty. And coach, we're taping this about 15 minutes after the final score of 20-15. You've been involved as one as crazy and as weird as that?
Probably at some point down the road. But yeah, it was a football score, that's for sure.
I talked to Brendan in the post-game interview about this. You guys were down 14-1, and you guys needed 4 runs to avoid the 10-run rule. Not only did you get 4, but you get 10. What do you say to your kids before the start of that inning?
I said we got to go get 4 or we're done, and they just kind of had some pretty decent approaches at the plate, and Walsey got some younger guys in, and we kind of got probably 4 base hits just in that third and shortstop gap there that, honestly, anybody would have been a tough play to make because it was that slow dribbler, and it's like, well, so, the ball kind of just went our way that inning, so that was good.
Yeah, Tate, you guys kind of looked like you never had that give-up attitude, but I thought that you and Brendan at the top of the order, you guys kind of made things happen and got runners on base, and especially in the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning, you guys definitely got that job done.
Yeah, I like hitting right after Brendan. It's always nice when he gets on base and I can bring him around, and that's always fun to do.
You also had to go from behind the plate out onto the mound. Would you prefer to be in the crouch behind home plate, or do you like going to the hill?
I just like to play baseball.
That's a good answer. I've got to see you over the years play a lot of third base. Is there a favorite position that you like to play?
I just like to play the infield anywhere, just making plays and stuff.
Always involved in the action. Coach, if I do the math right, 2-2 this week, or was it 1-3?
1-3. 1-3.
What did you feel like were the positives coming out of the week?
Well, I thought, in probably 3 out of 4 games, I thought we hit the ball very well. I like that our kids are putting the bat on the ball, I guess, and it's never fun to lose. Obviously, we lost a couple close ones early in the week, and then, kind of brought it back as far as we could, and tonight, and so we're in baseball games. We just got to find ways to win them.
Is it? So what do you tell the kids? Because at this point of the season, you're 2-8, but you've been in ball games. I guess I'll ask you: Are you guys getting frustrated, Tate? I mean, is this something where you're feeling like, geez, we're kind of a little bit snake bitten because we're right there, we just can't get over the hump?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough getting down to the end of the year and stuff. But I feel like if we play our game and limit errors and hit the ball like we normally do, we will come out on top for a couple games.
There's some games coming up over the next couple of weeks. There's just 2 weeks remaining in the regular season. I know we talked about this a little bit in the pregame, Coach, but what are the games coming up that you're kind of looking at now that after this game's over here, now that you're looking forward to playing over the next couple of weeks?
Well, we got Cherry on Monday. Okay, so we got a short weekend. That's a section game for us. It'll be important. We got a couple of games against a couple like Kelliher and Lake of the Woods, a couple Section 8 teams that I think we can play with. That would be good for us. And then we got Carleton to finish out the year. So, hopefully we limit errors and just have fun and quit thinking about it.
It seemed to me that we talked about this before the game, Coach, that, Logan Pritchard got the start and that, you were going to try to ride him as long as you could. And, of course, he almost got into the mid-80s or maybe low 90s by my count. He was only going to get up to 105. You probably knew at some point that you were going to have to go to the bullpen. But after playing 4 games with the new pitching rules, did you kind of feel like you were hamstrung, that you really didn't have any choices?
Yeah, really. I knew Matt was coming in second. And I thought if Logan could get us, into the 5th, 6th inning, Matt could probably finish it off. But, he struggled a little bit with his location, not his normal self, I guess. And Matt struggled to find it too, being it was his 3rd game in relief this week. So I can't really, start knocking on him. But then after that, normally I got Tate behind the plate and I don't like to take him out of there. So I'm looking at Coach Larson going, oh, what are we doing? So we gave Ralphie a shot, and he did a nice job getting us out of that inning, that one batter. It's hard when you got 4 games and a pitch count and a small school, but, anybody that goes out there, I just tell them to shoot the mitt and have fun. That's what's important.
Tate, did you know it was coming before? When he kind of looked at you, when he pointed to you, you almost jumped like you knew that it was going on. He must have given you a little warning.
Yeah, I knew we had 4 games this week, and I knew that one day I'll get a shot out there. And I guess today was the day. I guess it was pretty fun.
Coach mentioned the games that are coming up. Is there one that you're looking forward to more than the others on that list there, Tate?
I'm always looking forward to Cherry. Always kind of a rivalry there, and Lake of the Woods. Lake of the Woods is one I'd like to beat because they've stung us a couple times in the past 2 sports, and always want to beat them.
I can understand that. I want to go back to the pitching rules, the restraints. Are you a believer in it, Coach? Is this the right thing to do for high school kids?
Well, yes and no. It makes a lot of sense for kids that are, maybe down in the cities, bigger schools, stuff like that. Because the guys that are pumping 85 down in the cities, they need that time off anyway. It hurts some of our guys in a sense that I can have Logan Pritchard throw 300 pitches in a week and it's not going to matter.
Right.
So it kind of depends on the kid. I think something probably had to change as far as the 14 inning rule, because that can add up to a lot of pitches. But sometimes for a small school like us, it poses a few issues and a few concerns.
Do you see that number possibly changing in the future, the 105s, the 75s? Do you think that that's something that they'll look at it maybe after a season or 2 and say we need to change it to maybe 115 or something? Yeah,
maybe. I know the playoffs is 115 for when we get into section play. Maybe they can look at doing something like, okay, in April we have 105. Now we get to May. Now let's go to 115 and maybe playoffs you can go 120, 125. But honestly, if a kid gets up to about 125 anyway, 130, they're probably pretty gassed, if they're doing their job correctly. So they're kind of right around that number that it needs to be.
Guys, thanks for your time. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Coach Dan Bestie and Tate Promisberger joining me. We'll come back with more Coach's Corner. You're listening on K104 and online at KSDMradio.com. Welcome back to Coach's Corner for our final segment here, and 5 segments to the last couple of weeks, keeping busy. Only got 2 more shows left next week, and of course Memorial Day weekend, and then we'll have Coach's Corner wrapped up for the year. We'll take the hiatus for the summer. We'll be back in late August. I did find out this week, just came to my mind. The Bronco football team will be playing in the 0 week. They will actually open their season on Friday, August 25th at Virginia. They will, Duluth Marshall unable to field the team again, so the Broncos will have to play a 0 week game. They'll end up playing the Virginia Blue Devils twice this season, the opener and the closer on MEA weekend. So kind of a little quirk in the schedule if you're thinking that far ahead. And of course, football season is always a great thing in my mind to be thinking forward to. Can't wait for football season to come around. I know for a lot of people that means summer is gone, but we can only hope that we could get football year round as far as I am concerned. Let's head back to last Saturday. Bronco baseball team was down in Hibbing last Saturday morning. They jumped out to a 4-0 lead after an inning and a half as Trimble Butler knocked in all 4 runs in his first 2 at-bats. However, Hibbing would score 10 unanswered runs over the next 6 innings and down the Broncos by a final score of 10-4. Riley Nemec was on base 4 times with 2 hits and 2 walks. Tyler Caulfield also had a pair of hits in that game. Last Saturday at Esco, track and field, the girls did very, very well. Volandry Butler, she had a big day. 3rd in the triple, 5th in the long, 6th in the 100. Lexi Erickson, 1st in the high jump, 5th in the 3200. Lexi Edwards, 1st in the pole vault. Claire Herzig, 3rd in the pole vault, 6th in the long jump. Bailey Millett, 5th in the triple jump. Emma Gilbert, 1st in the shot put, 2nd in discus. Taylor Bush, 3rd in shot put and 4th in discus. Ryan Glover, 5th in the shot put, and Jenna Sullivan, 3rd in the discus. Of course, that meet at Esco, that's where the section meet is going to be held on Thursday, June 1st. So good for the girls and the boys to get back down there and experience being on that field once again. For the boys, John Coleman took 4th in the 1600, Hunter Wilson 6th in the 3200, and Wyatt Omdahl took 1st in the pole vault. Girls golf team took 2nd place last Saturday as they shot a 376. Evelyn, as we mentioned during our interview with them, Evelyn beat them in that meet. They shot a 366 in that meet. Kenzie Wenberg shot a 92, Morgan Rasmussen a 93, Maggie Roeder a 95, Olivia Wright a 96, and Olivia Besch a 97. Trap shooting for the past week, not this most recent week, but the week before. Cole Mann, 47 out of 50. Great week for Cole. Darius Voller, 45, and Colton Reller shot 44s. Rainy River softball, they were down in Central Lakes for the championship for the Northern Division tournament, and they did win the championship with in 4 games without a loss. Game 1, they defeated Hibbing in 5 innings by a score of 10-2. Camilla Arbizo was 3 for 3 with a home run and 4 RBIs. In Game 2, Rainy River beat Itasca 3-1. Camilla Arbizo throws a no-hitter in the circle, and Serena Parendo was 3 for 3 with a double in that game. Move on to Sunday. The Rainy River defeats Central Lakes, the host team, that day by a score of 9-7. Serena Parendo, another big day, 4 for 4 with a couple RBIs. And then in the championship game, Rainy River 7, Itasca 6 in 8 innings. So the Voyagers beat Itasca twice in that tournament. And unfortunately for the Voyagers, they had to come back through, and they lose 2 extra inning games on Thursday this week in the Region 13 tournament to some of these same exact teams. And we'll talk more about that when we get to Thursday. On Rainy River baseball last weekend, they won 1 out of 4 over Itasca last week. Got done just talking about those games with head coach Josh Keening. Game 1 on Saturday saw the Voyagers fall behind by a score of 5-3. Keanu Kalamayan comes up, hits a grand slam home run to give the Voyagers a 7-5 lead in the 4th inning. However, the Vikings would answer back, and they would defeat Rainy in Game 1, 8-7. That win clinched the Northern Division for Itasca. Rainy bounces back in Game 2 and gets a win by a score to 3-1. That clinched 2nd place for the Voyagers, and the reason why they're playing at home in this best 2 out of 3 series this coming weekend. On Sunday, Rainy dropped both games to the Itasca by scores of 3-1 and 9-8. On Monday, the Falls baseball team led MIB 3-1 going in the 7th inning. They padded their lead with a pair of runs and looked like being up 5-1, things were going to be taken care of. However, the Rangers got 4 runs in the bottom of the 7th, forced extra innings. The Broncos outscore the Rangers 2-1 in the 8th inning and come away with a 7-6 win. Tyler Caulfield and Riley Nemec, you're going to keep hearing me say this probably all season long, on base 4 times apiece in that game. Also on Monday, the Broncos softball team went on the road. They 10-runned Ely by a final score of 12-1 in 6 innings. The Broncos opened up an 8-0 lead after an inning and a half and just cruised in from there. Amber Thielander had 4 hits. Janet Humbert had 4 hits. And Taylor Sears and Marissa Carey each had 3. Mariah Leahy, threw a 1-hitter with 13 strikeouts in that game. On Tuesday, Little Fork Big Falls Viking baseball lost to Northwoods by a score of 10-9 as the Grizzlies scored their winning runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Vikings had 15 hits and 10 walks and just somehow could not come up with the win in that game. 3 hits by Matt Kennedy, 2 each by Brendan Williams, Logan Maish, Jacob Pendergast, Dale Erickson, and Eric Wimmer in that 10-9 loss. Little Fork Big Falls softball defeated Masabi East 15-3. Anna Imhoff was the winning pitcher. Alexis Doucette had 4 hits in that game. The Broncos were at home. Softball, was at home on Tuesday. They shut out Evelyn Gilbert by a score of 11-0 in 5 innings. Marissa Carey got the win in the pitching circle. She struck out 3 and allowed just 4 hits. Amber Thielander had a pair of hits with 4 RBIs, and Marissa Carey, Casey Myers, and Taylor Sears all had 2 hits in the game for the Broncos. Bronco baseball team was in Evelyn on Tuesday. They scored first again. They seem to be able to do that in every game. They seem to be scoring first, which is a great trait. Unfortunately, the Broncos end up losing by a score of 4-3. Trimble Butler pitched very well, pitched all 7 innings, striking out 8, but the Broncos managed just 5 hits in the game. Bronco track and field was down at Park Rapids for the Section 8A true team meet. Top finishes for the boys. They came in 6th out of 17. Wyatt Omdahl took 2nd in the pole vault. Hunter Wilson 6th in the 3200. Jake Erickson took 7th in the 3200. Girls took 4th place behind Park Rapids, who won with 966. Top finishes, Lexi Erickson was 4th in the 1600, 3rd in the 3200, 1st in the high jump. Lexi Edwards 1st in the pole vault. Emily Sari 3rd in the pole vault. And Emma Gilbert 1st in shot and discus. Taylor Bush took 3rd in the discus. On Wednesday, LBF softball lost to Northwood 6-1, and the Viking baseball team lost to Nashwauk 3-1. Thursday, big game over in War Road. The Broncos softball team going on the road facing a very good pitcher from War Road. The Broncos actually trailed 4-0 after 2 innings, but battled back and won 12-8 in that game. Janet Humbert had 3 hits and 3 runs scored. Amber Thielander also had 3 hits, and she had 3 RBIs. Mariah Leahy improved her pitching record on Thursday to 7-0 on the season as she struck out 8. The Bronco baseball team trailed Duluth Denfeld at home on Thursday by a score of 5-0 after an inning and a half, but the Broncos got 10 runs in the bottom of the 2nd inning on Tuesday. They scored 9 yesterday. Some big innings for the Broncos. The Broncos end up winning by a score of 12-8. Tyler Caulfield, Riley Nemec, Simon Palm, and Will Harla all had 2 hits in that game on Thursday. The Viking baseball team defeated MIB 10-7. Matt Kennedy had a pair of hits and scored 3 runs, while Tate Promisberger also scored 3 times in that game on Thursday. Bronco track and field teams, the girls were in Hibbing, the boys were in Chisholm. The girls came in 4th behind Hibbing, Hermantown, and Evelyn Gilbert. First places to Lexi Edwards in the pole vault and Emma Gilbert in the shot and discus. The boys track team was in Chisholm. They came in 4th behind Ely, Evelyn Gilbert, and GNK. First places John Kalman in the 800, Wyatt Omdahl 1st in the pole vault. Girls golf team was 1st at Hibbing on Thursday. They shoot a .330, edging Evelyn Gilbert, who shot .337. As I mentioned earlier, the Rainy River softball team was taking part in the Region 13B tournament in Grand Rapids. In Game 1, Masabi Range downs the Voyagers by a score of 7-4. This is after A.J. Ori came up and hit a grand slam home run in the bottom of the 7th to tie it at 4, and then Masabi Range wins it in extra innings. And then in the second game, again, the Voyagers tied in the bottom of the 7th inning with 7 runs. They were down 9-2. They tied it at 9, and they end up losing in extra innings to Central Lakes by a score of 12-9. Rainy River finishes their season 23-17 overall. Yesterday, the Broncos and the Vikings played baseball down in Little Fork. It was a wild one, 20-15, the final score, as the Broncos come out on top in that one. Broncos softball team won a pair of games down at Hibbing and won that tournament. They beat Greenway 6-5, and then Wilmer by a score of 8-1 in the championship game. LBF softball lost to Southridge by 10-8 on the road, and the Bronco boys golf team was in at the Quarry yesterday. They shoot .331 as a team. They're sitting in 6th place out of 21 teams after day 1, and Brady Wright shot a .74 yesterday, which ties him for 4th place overall. all. What's coming up this week? Well, of course, today the Bronco Boys golf team, day 2 at the Quarry. Rainy River baseball going on at Sheila Field. That starts at 1 o'clock for that doubleheader against Vermilion in the Northern Division tournament. That tournament could continue tomorrow if neither team wins both games today. That game would be at 1 o'clock tomorrow at Sheila Field. What's coming up this week? Another busy week. Last week of the softball season, regular season. Playoffs start just 10 days from now. Boys and girls golf will be at Giants Ridge on Monday. Viking baseball versus Cherry at home. Viking softball will be at home for a doubleheader with Black Duck on Monday, and the Broncos softball team will be down in Bemidji for a game. Tuesday, we'll have Broncos softball on the air against Virginia. I'm looking forward to this game so much. I keep saying that, but it is. It's going to be a huge game. If you can get out there, you're going to enjoy yourself. Bronco boys and girls track and field teams will be in Virginia for the IRC meet on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Bronco baseball hosts Northwoods. Viking baseball hosts Eveleth Gilbert, and Viking softball hosts Northland. So a busy day locally on Tuesday. Wednesday, Bronco boys golf will be at the Quarry for a meet. Bronco softball will be at Mesabi East. Viking baseball will be at Lake of the Woods, and Viking softball will be home at Ely. The Region 13B tournament starts, Region 13 baseball tournament starts on Thursday at St. Cloud. If Rainy River makes it through this weekend, they'll start action on Thursday. The Bronco baseball team is at Greenway on Thursday. Viking baseball is home against Kelly or North Home, and the Viking softball team is at home against MIB. Friday, Bronco boys golf at the Virginia Invite at 10 o'clock. Bronco softball at Northwoods to wrap up their regular season. And then the Bronco baseball team next weekend, they'll be heading to Ely, and they will be taking on Malacca and Ely. I see the clock has struck 10. I need to get out of the way. Thanks to all my guests this morning. Bronco girls golf, Seven Simon, Kenzie Wenberg, and Olivia Best joining me. Coach Josh Koenig, of course, head coach Dan Bestie, and Tate Promsberger from the LBF baseball team. Thanks to everybody here at Hardee's. Thanks to Aaron back at the station for pushing all the buttons. But most of all, thank you for listening to Coach's Corner, live from Hardee's on K104 and online at KSDMradio.com.